The last time I talked to you was more than 2 weeks ago. The shutdown in internet has not happened, and 20,000 people were not dead. Um, I can't really sit here and pretend like everything is okay. I um, I care a lot about this channel, or I used to. I did everything that I could to have regular updates and make this channel grow because I wanted this community to grow. And I usually don't talk about anything other than books and fun book related things to don't offend anybody and try and keep it cozy, fun. But right now, I really can't because when people are dying or dead on the streets, your priorities have to change. I'm still going to talk about some books in this video because this is booktube and that's my community, and reading books is kind of how I cope with everything that ever happens to me. But honestly, I wanted to make this video to let the world, at least the few people who watch my channel, to know what's going on here, because I feel like that's my duty. I have to do that. So if you don't want to, I don't know, if you don't want to hear what's going on in the world and you don't really care, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know. Let's talk about what's going on here. So, I recorded that video that I posted, the best books of 2025, on Wednesday. I uploaded it that night because I was kind of sure that they were going to shut the internet down completely, and I just didn't want to miss that upload because I was like, this is the end of the year. I'm going to have my wrap ups and tier rankings, and it's going to be good for this channel. I was so naive. I uploaded it and set the time for 3:30 a.m. here in Iran, which is, I think, Thursday afternoon in the US. That's how I arranged it. And yeah, that next day on Thursday here, which was, I think, still Wednesday night for you guys, they cut us off from the internet completely. And when that happens in this country, that means that a lot of people are going to die. Because each time they do that, it's just so that they can cover whatever it is that they're doing to them up. And we knew that, we just didn't really knew the length that they were going to go this time. I thought, okay, the internet is going to be down for 2 days because that was the original dates that people decided to come out, the 8th and 9th of January. And I thought it's going to be 2 days. Yes, they cut the internet down, but maybe it's just to prevent the protests from getting larger. It's not going to be that bad because there are a lot of people on the streets, children, women, older people, and there's no way that they're going to actually massacre them. I was wrong. At 8 p.m. here, Tehran's time, not only the internet was down, they cut us off from all signals. We couldn't call anybody, text anybody, we couldn't do anything. We couldn't even call the ambulance if somebody was injured, and they just started shooting people on the streets. We heard the gunshots, we did. And we knew that it was bad. It's just when you have a very big country, as you know, and a big city, you just have a partial knowledge of the place that you are at, and you don't really know what's going on in the different places when there's no internet, no signal, no nothing. The next day, Friday at 8 p.m., was another date that people have set up before to be out, and they did. This time it was way worse. Right at 8 p.m., You could hear gunshot after gunshot after gunshot, and it was nonstop. You felt like you were in a war zone, and it was terrifying. We couldn't do anything. We knew that something horrible was going on. People were dying, but we couldn't do anything. My luck was that we didn't before we knew anything about everything going on. We had a trip planned, and we weren't even in our home city when this was happening. We were strangers in a city we've never visited before, locked in a hotel because they didn't let us leave that hotel when outside got dark. The moment we set foot outside of that, they were like, "Get back in." Once we tried to go to the streets, um, we didn't even know that this was the day after that 2 initial days, and we didn't know that they had changed the time from 8 p.m. to 6. So we just went out to eat something after days of being locked in a hotel, and um, police and masked men and all the, I'm not going to name them here because oh boy, this is going to be hard. They stopped us with guns, and they were like, either you leave right now or you might get hurt and you will have to go back home bleeding. So we went back inside. Um, we got back a few days. We got home. When we were there, we had only access to the television that's related to the regime, and it's just propaganda, and none of it is true. So we really didn't have any idea what was going on, other than the fact that a lot of gunshots were fired. A lot. I was up until 2 a.m. in the morning counting these gunshots, and I was like, how many people are on the streets? Who are you shooting that at? We got back home a few days later. We were just locked in a hotel. We couldn't leave. We didn't do anything in that on that trip, and we wanted to come back home as soon as we could, but they wouldn't change our flight. When we got back and actually got access to some news from foreign TV channels that we watch, we realized that it was so much worse than we initially thought. A few days after that, the the numbers came out, and I'm saying numbers because honestly, right now, since the internet is still down, I'm recording this video hoping that this little tiny amount of internet that I have is enough, especially in the midnight, to just get this video out. But honestly, we don't really have access to internet really yet. And so we don't really know who these people were. Few days, some parts of the country have had internet, so some names are coming out. They are young people, children, women. It's just horrible. Before this, what we had were videos of body bags. So that's why I'm saying numbers, because right now all we know is that more than 20,000 people were killed. I don't want to hurt you. I don't want to damage your psyche. You're out of this country and you were, I don't know, lucky enough to not be here. And I don't want to make you go through this when you don't have to. But I don't know how to sugarcoat this. I'm saying it in the vaguest way possible. I'm not saying any details. So this is the sugar-coated version of it. And we were waiting for help to get here. I've been a person who has always sided with Democrats because, I'm queer and I care about human rights and queer rights. And I always thought that, well, Democrats are the people who give that to people. And in the past election, I was hoping and hoping and hoping that Donald Trump was not going to win that election. And I was really devastated when he did. I've always been defending Democrats, even though a lot of things that happened in my country were because the Democrats were in office and they did nothing. I was still hopeful and I still supported them, even though my support doesn't matter. I'm just saying it. Just tell you that it was. It's really horrifying to see that the people that are actually speaking out and supporting Iranians people are the Republicans. And the Democrats are the ones that are just watching. It's really heartbreaking to finally have some internet and be on TikTok and see people debating whether or not it is okay and they should attack Iran. This is not an attack. This is a rescue mission. I was so shocked and horrified to learn about the fact that not everybody's like, okay, let's just go, let's save them, let's do something. And everybody was like, yeah, but it's something that's happening inside their country and it has nothing to do with us. Some people were just saying it to not say that Trump is right, which, wow. Wow. If human rights and people dying is not more important to you than politics, then we are we are better off dead, I think, because there's no faith left in humanity. But if you're just saying that because you really think that, if a person calls you from inside of a house, a child calls you and is like, my dad is abusive, he has killed a lot of my siblings, and he's going to kill us too, probably. And then they asked you to send their drunk, very bad, very rude criminal uncle to save them, you wouldn't be like, no, but he's a criminal. You would be like, okay, let's first save those children, and then we can talk about where they should go, right? Because it doesn't matter at that point that their uncle is not a good person or that he's a criminal. What matters is that those children are in imminent threat, that dad is going to kill them. And if you're walking past this house, you're a stranger, and you hear screams of hope, and that you hear that the dad is hurting those children, would you not kick down the door to go and help? Would you just walk past that home and be like, this is a family matter and it doesn't matter? Yeah, it is happening inside our borders because we are civilians with no access to any kind of guns or machines or whatever. And they have all the power because they rule this country and have all the money of this country. And we can't do anything about that. The only thing that we have is our lives, and they're taking that. They're taking out the access to the internet so that we cannot send SOS to the world. Which honestly, right now I'm watching everything unfold and the things that have unfolded in the past that we didn't have internet, and I'm like, even if the internet was on, probably nobody would have cared about our SOS, would they? Why? Because we're not white enough? Because we don't have blue eyes? It doesn't matter to you? Do you think if 20,000 people were killed in Germany or in England, not the whole world would have done something? The whole world would have been yelling and trying to help and save the rest of the population? Or maybe if we were Gaza and we fit that image that you have of a perfect victim, if our city was burned to the ground and the buildings had fallen, and we didn't look like we were surviving, and we were living in tents. We were dirty and didn't have running water. Well, we don't have that anymore either. The water shortage is crazy. So I guess the water thing is out, but if we were living in tents, then you would have cared, right? Because then we would have fit your image of a perfect victim. But right now, we're neither of those things. We are nor the white first class citizens that deserve democracy and deserve to live a free life, and neither are we those civilians in tents starving. So we fell in the gray area of you don't even care, do you? It doesn't matter if they're 20,000 or 2 millions. You simply look at that as numbers and you go on with the rest of your life, don't you? Because you can read books like Red Rising or The Red Queen or, well, more importantly, The Hunger Games and know that the other people should have helped. You can read The Hunger Games and be like, the capital just watched, the people of the capital just watched. How could they do that? You're doing it. You're watching. Sure, you're not putting on Hunger Games in your TV and cheering for somebody to kill somebody else, but you're watching. You're not doing anything. The world is watching while a dictatorship killing its own people because they want to break out. And you are the people who read books and read lots and lots and lots of stories and cheer for the people who want to get out of really, really bad regimes. But when it's happening in front of you, you just don't care, do you? I opened my YouTube after getting some internet and I was like, damn, we spent 2 weeks fighting for our lives, our mental health destroyed. We have watched some things that no human should, and the rest of the world was just going on. They were getting their favorite coffee with their favorite Danish and talking about books that have revolutions in them. But they didn't have time to talk about us because nobody cares. Nobody does. Even if every single person in this country dies, we have a population of 80, almost 90 million people. And let's say that 20% of them belong to this regime and love this regime, even though it's not even that high, but let's just say that. So 60 million people. Even if all of us died, you wouldn't bat an eye, would you? Because we're just numbers in your brain. We're not humans. You care about human rights when it's right in front of you, not when it's hundreds of miles away. When there's an ocean between you, do you? Do you? It doesn't really matter then. I am really disappointed in the whole world. And I'm not really trying to offend you. Maybe if I was in your state, I would have done the same thing. I'm not saying these things in a way of being offensive towards you. I'm just saying that I expected more from this community. I thought that we are reading books and we're educating ourselves and we're reading different stories so that if something happens in our real world, we know how to react. And I just wanted more. I'm not saying you should change the world for us. I'm just saying that a little statement might have helped. Sending a letter to somebody might have helped. Telling us that we're not alone might have helped. Yeah, it might have. But it's not your burden to bear, I guess. It's ours. And yeah, let me now entertain you and talk to you about some books because while I was in that hotel, freaked out and without anything to do. All that could save me were books and TV shows that I had downloaded before because no internet. I read 3 books. I'm in the middle of the fourth one. I watched one TV show. We had a lot of time to kill before they killed us, I guess. The first book that I read was The Veil of Ascension by Brandon Sanderson. I wanted a book that was fantasy, so it got me out of this world, but I didn't want it to be so far off that I felt like I was having fun while everything was going on. And this is the second book in the Mistborn series, and if you don't know, this is a fantasy book that they use different metals, and some people can burn these metals and have some kind of alchemy and they can do different things. And what part of it mattered most to me was that in the first book of this thing, we have a revolution happening, and that's the first book. So I had read that before, and this is the continuation of that and the things that happened after that thing happened in book one. And I really wanted to have a book that reminded me of everything that was going on, but it was like, okay, what will happen from now on? What are we waiting for? What should we be looking forward to, or what should we be scared of? I guess, and that was really good. I gave it 5 stars. Brandon Sanderson writes fantasy in a very, very great way. I was really shocked to know that he was this good at world building. I should also say that his prose are not very complicated or beautiful. It's a very simple story, simply narrated, but in a very great way. You can vividly see every scene, and you know the characters very, very well. I think this was a good second book. Usually the middle books lag for me, and it was a little bit long, and I wanted more action from it, but I could understand that he needed to set up some things that needed to be set up. And I appreciate it for the things that it did, and I really appreciate it because it took me out of this world, and that really mattered to me. Then I was searching for the books that I had, and I didn't really have anything. But I had the Murderbot series. It's a series of novellas. It was very popular a while back. I read the 2 first books of that series. That's about a bot, and it was like a security bot, and it had it's called a governance something. So it's basically coded by a company, and it has to do whatever it is that that company wants them to and report back. So they sent him to these different missions to keep a group of people safe, mostly. But then what he did before the first book started was hack that governance thing. I don't remember the name. And now he's free. He doesn't have to do whatever it is that they ask him to, but he still pretends and go on this mission with his clients. And he really bonds with them, and we go from there. I liked it because of the Murderbot himself. He loved watching TV shows, and honestly, me too. And I liked the character of him, even though he was a bot, technically. I wanted more from that crew. I wish the character building was more, but I guess it was a novella, and we didn't really have time for that. I gave it 3.5. It wasn't exactly the best thing ever, but it was good enough. The second book I liked less because I would have loved him to stay with that group, but we didn't even see them again. And I didn't like that. I didn't like the jump. I didn't like the storyline of the second book. I didn't like the characters of the second book. It was just boring to me. I just finished it because it was quick and it was very short, but it was really, really boring, and I didn't care about the story of that book. So 2 stars for that. And now I'm in the middle of the next book that I'm reading, and it's really great. I'm reading, what's the name? Hold on. I'm reading House of Crimson Hearts. Sapphic, lesbian, vampire, and vampire hunter. So enemies to lovers, but they're lesbians, and one of them is really, really hot and is a vampire, dangerous. And the dedication of this book says to all those girls, I'm improvising and I'm just going off the memory, but something along the lines of, for all the girls who wished Damon Salvatore had boobs. I never did because I'm bi and I like both, but now I can see it and I'm like, ooh, that would have been fun. The book is really great. I'm 30% in and I'm enjoying it so much. With the very, very little internet that we had, I also downloaded the audiobook of the next two books of this series. It's a trilogy. It's very fun to read something that I love in these times. And it's an enemies lovers between a vampire and a vampire hunter. And this hunter is very, very, very savage and hates her. Also, she, the vampire, has a very complicated family dynamic with her vampire family. And I love complicated family dynamics. And I'm really enjoying that. That's it. That's the books that I read while the internet was down. And now let me tell you about the TV show. I know this is not what this channel is about, but oh, the TV show that saved me these past weeks, it did more than the books did for me. Yellow Jackets. Oh my god. Talk to me about toxic, sapphic teenagers stranded in an island. So a lot of people know this, but this is about a group of teenagers, girls, that play soccer, and they're going to nationals while their plane goes down in this island. And they're stranded there, starving, and just the story unfolds, and their psyche just goes nuts. Somebody said if you think there's only one lesbian couple in Yellow Jacket, you're not watching Yellow Jacket. And I agree with that. I think the only straight person in this series is Travis. And I think he's only straight because he has no other options. Everybody, in my opinion, is queer in this TV show. And watching teenagers get jealous and toxic while there's no adult supervision, it was really good. It was kind of helping me because I was like, well, at least we're not in the jungle doing things that they were doing. There was a minimum difference, but it made me feel hopeful. And it was interesting enough that kept my mind off of things for a few minutes in a day, for a few hours in a day, I guess, because I binge watched it. And that was amazing. So I guess books and TV shows help us more than humans do in this situation. Thank you so much for listening to me update you on what's going on. If you did watch this video, thank you. I know that a lot of people are not going to, probably, but I just wanted to do it because I feel like I owe it to everybody who lost their lives here. I'm really sad for that, and I hope their families are doing well. At the end of this video, I'm going to wish and hope that good things are going to happen in this country, and I talk to you from a better place next time. I'm going to keep this channel, and from the next video, I'm going to try to just keep it to books because I want to have something light in my life. And I really like this community and I love being a part of it. I know I spoke harshly, but I really do love being a part of this. Thank you so much for being here, and just keep us in your thoughts and prayers. And if you can do something, please do. See you in the next video, hopefully, if I'm alive and well, and if we have internet and they haven't cut us off completely again. See you. Bye bye.